Yeah, I want to talk about gun rights in a guess when a new world order actually puts down the screws on people. Usually it's in a monetary fashion. They're basically wiping out the middle class piece by piece, right? Isn't that the game? Now, first off, I want to say this about anything that you're fighting per se. If you think you're defeated, you are defeated. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, you got to be realistic in your strategies and just can't be like, oh yeah, we're going to stop them and all this kind of garbage. But if and get unrealistic in what you want to try to accomplish. But if you think you are defeated, you are defeated. That's a fact. Now, I saw some things on the internet. I saw, the Kokesh is racking the shotgun and stuff. I don't know what the deal is with that guy, but I just don't think people should get behind that type of strategy. It is a fact, and even if you go back to like Waco and Ruby Ridge and all this stuff, where a lot of things kind of like started, if you want to call it, most of the police and military were against like using excessive force against the civilians. Actually, it was like special forces in the army that basically ratted out what was going on. There was, I forgot the guy's name, but there was actually one shooter that was common to both Waco and Ruby Ridge. A long time ago, they were actually, he had no problem pulling the trigger. No problem at all. And I think he was foreign born, to tell you the truth. So that's another thing. Most cops believe in the Second Amendment and believe in the Bill of Rights. Most military do. And it varies. I mean, sometimes they're just going to have to do their job, because once somebody's ordered to do something, they do it, man. I'm telling you, that's really how it is. They might not want to do it, but they will do it. That's exactly how it is, okay? So you do not want to put something right in their face, like forcing them to make a decision about something. I saw another video on YouTube that the guy, I think they were in Colorado, and they were not screwed up people, but it was like, man, that was a dumb strategy. I was thinking they took out an AR-15, or walking around in public with it, and some people called up the police, and this cop came by, and this guy had the patience of a saint. This cop, he had the patience of a saint. He believed in the Second Amendment and everything, but he had to find out if the situation was safe. And at the end, even the guys that had the AR-15 were saying, "Yeah, that cop was pretty good." I was thinking, man, he had the patience of a saint. But see, you don't want to do stuff like that. That's I mean, maybe you're right to do something like that, but you're freaking not helping the situation while you're doing that. If you're actually getting clobbered by the Gestapo or something like that, and or the communists, then you want to pull out your gun and defend your own life. But to actually test the situation every time like that is stupid. I believe in the actual thing with the concealed carry. That's a pretty smart thing. Actually, if you're just looking for self-defense, you could take a little. This is like unloaded. I like this thing because it's very simple to check if it's unloaded. You just pop the barrel open. It's a little Beretta. It doesn't have a magazine in it or nothing. But you could take like a vest. This is like a biker vest. You put your, it has you can put a holster in it like that, and actually sew this together so it stays up there really good. Something like that would work out pretty good, because and you're afraid of getting hijacked or something like that. This little 22 would probably do the job. I mean, this ain't going to work against, I mean, a lot of this stuff. But just as your last-ditch defense, if you figured, hey, man, I might get hijacked if I'm riding through some place or something, and a little 22, that'll work out for you, And actually, usually, if you just fire one shot, even not at the person per se, or just pull the gun out, usually that works right there, because people are not that stupid, you know what I mean? 22 still got power. So when you're walking around down the street in open carry like that, I know it's your constitutional right, but that's not smart. It's just not smart. It's not that I don't disagree with it, but it's not smart. And you're going to have to be very shrewd to beat the game that's going on, because they're playing different games. Basically, they're trying to get people to fight each other. They're trying to create discord. They're trying to create discord even between the police and the civilians, so they can rack up new rules. They want incidents to happen so they can make new rules and that type of stuff. And the other side of it is the economic situation. The they're putting the screws to the middle class more and more. And actually, I don't think a lot of people know this, but in Argentina, for instance, they've been going into bank accounts, like even like as of a year ago, last Christmas, they were having big protests out in front of their Capitol building because basically the government was going into bank accounts over various things. I forgot exactly what it was, but if you got electronic money, they could screw you pretty easily. It's easy to do. There's nothing safe. And I learned this a long time ago when Vince Foster's alleged suicide during the Attorney General, that was during the Clinton administration when he first became Attorney General. He was involved in that PROMIS software, which is prosecutors management information systems. It was like they used Cray supercomputers. It was by Systematics Incorporated in Arkansas. They can basically go in anybody's account anywhere, and I've actually seen where transactions that supposedly were wired and had all the confirmation on big hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions that were stopped by the U.S. government, even though they occurred in Europe. They could do a lot of shit, man. They got a lot of power. So that's one of the reasons the metals is a good thing. It's more like a backup to the backup to the backup. That's what it is. Because, I guess the government would have to freaking pay to have a drone or a tank come to your place and steal your shit if that's the case. You know what I mean? And versus like clicking on a button and doing it electronically. So there's part of your reason for having your metals. But civil unrest will actually come about due to economic conditions, and this is one of the reasons. As the top people are putting the screws to the middle class, they are afraid of this, and they don't want people to have guns. Like in China, if they had guns in the Second Amendment like the United States, I think they would have already had major revolutions going on when the government said, I'm going to steal your property, and because of some family has ties to the government and we want to use it for this big building project or something. They do that all the time. You see this goes on all the time. China doesn't actually have 7.5% growth. They haven't had 7.5% growth for a long time. When these precincts report, they report phony statistics. And actually now the Chinese government officially is going to admit that they're missing their growth targets, right? So that is ripe for revolution. Oh, big time. And that's what they're scared of. That's one reason they want to keep the QE on in the United States, because they're afraid of backlash politically too, big time. I mean, it may not be like this rigid New World Order that controls things, but even the party that's in power doesn't like it when the economy's bad because they can get voted out or whatever. So, I just want to say that this gun rights and also the economic conditions in the middle class, they're all kind of related in a lot of ways, but you got to be shrewder and not just like blatantly say, well, it's my right to have a gun. It's the New World Orders. You got to be a lot more shrewd than that. Just don't do direct frontal assault like some of these people are doing. I don't know. In the case of Kokesh, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Maybe he's just freaking crazy and he's trying to make money or something and off of. Because I noticed on YouTube, I mean, you got the wackiest freaky conspiracy theories out there. And the wackiest stories in the world is what people gravitate to. It's stupid. I mean, I can't believe it. You give them solid facts, they don't like hearing that shit. It's like you got to tell them some kind of freaking BS, and I don't do that. I do straight up freaking common sense. But, when things are going down really bad, you got to remember that a lot of the police and the military are going to be on your side. I don't know who is and who isn't. And they could be on your side and they have to obey orders too. So that's one reason you don't want to stick it right in their face like, yeah, here's my gun, it's my right. You don't want to do that. Because the cop can make a subjective decision in his mind that this guy's okay. Now, he's not showing me a gun. I don't know he has a gun, so I was told to do this. Now I could say, well, he didn't have one, and that was it. So he's off the hook, you're off the hook. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to be that way, but it may be that way, and that might be the smarter thing to do. See, when people play this right in your face type stuff, you're not giving a guy a choice, man. man, you're not giving a guy a choice, and I don't like that shit, you know? I mean, it's not guaranteed the cop's going to say, oh, fuck it, you know? They just might freaking, I don't know. It's a human subjective decision. I have no idea, man. You know? It's going to depend on who it is. But you don't want to stick it right in somebody's face, like, this is my right. That's stupid. But the whole deal is we got to out-shrewd the guys on the top. And, you know, the one thing that really hits, like, say, somebody like Obama or, say, Bloomberg in New York City. You know, I would just say, well, I guess in New York City they probably don't give a shit about owning guns too much for the general population. But, yeah, it would be almost like, you know, say, how come Bloomberg has all these armed bodyguards with all these guns and nobody else can have one? Just keep pointing that out all the time. Just keep pointing that out, because that's a freaking plain simple observation, isn't it? I mean, really, come on. I mean, what is this guy? Something special? You know? I mean, in the United States, we don't supposedly have kings, queens, dukes, and all this other garbage. Just because you're mayor of New York doesn't make you have all these special rights that nobody else can have. Oh, come on, you know? I mean, yeah, he needs more protection because he's a mayor, but he's talking about he don't want you to have any protection, and he has all the protection in the world, like a dozen bodyguards. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, pointing out the obvious, sometimes that works too, because it is a battle of, like, wits. It is, you know? And they want you to think that you're defeated, but they're going to run too, because, you know, even the military and the, you know, like, for instance, I want to give an example back in the 1930s when they had the bonus march on Washington. I think it was in 1932, 1933. I think those are the years. You know, if it turned out they really, I mean, they did a lot of stuff. The military really hammered them back, but, you know, you never know. I mean, maybe the veterans should have fought back then. Maybe they should have. That's what I tend to think. There's a limit. There's a limit. Because, you know, it's only a matter of how much you think they're going to stomach, you know what I mean? That's really what it is. That's really what it is. But you don't want to, like, stick it right in their face, and you don't want to start shit just for freaking, like, oh, it's my right. That's stupid. That is very, very stupid. So strategy is everything in the world. And as they put the screws to the middle class, you know, I have to say that physical assets are going to be a lot more important than electronic assets. I mean, you don't have to have silver, but maybe even having paper cash outside the bank might be smart too. They can't really take it, you know what I mean? If you got it right there, you know what I'm saying? So some of these things are coming up, you know, they say, no, it'll never happen. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a dangerous system when you got electronic money everywhere, and the government actually does have the power to do practically anything they want to with that electronic money. They could do a lot, man. A lot. And I've seen it too. I've seen one guy they crushed at $50 million. That was a friend of mine who told me, because he was, he actually had, I forgot what kind of certificates he had. It was a CPA, an MBA in taxation, and he had some other thing. It was kind of rare, but he knew about some of these government investigations, and they could do a lot of stuff. So, if you don't have, you should have your money more outside the system than in the system. And hang on to your guns, but don't flaunt it. Play shrewd.